Well, KZN ANC Deputy Chairperson Mabuyakhulu has stepped aside from his position with immediate effect. This is in line with the step-aside resolution, which states that all members who are facing serious or criminal charges step aside or face suspension from the ANC. In a letter written to the Provincial Secretary in the province, Mabuyakhulu indicated that it was an easy decision for him to make, as he had previously recused himself from a position in 2019 in order to clear his name. It still remains unclear whether the party's Secretary-General Ace Magashule has stepped aside, as he is facing multiple charges of corruption. This as the ANC's National Working Committee reaffirmed the National Executive Council's decision that all members who have been charged with corruption or other serious crimes must step aside within 30 days. Those who are charged with serious crimes include Magashule, Bongani Bongo, Denim Caesar and Zandile Kumete, among others. The NWC, which met on Monday, received a report from the national officials through a team led by the Treasurer-General Paul Mashadile. It focused on the proposed terms and conditions that will regulate the participation and conduct of those who are affected by the step-aside resolution. Affected members are required to update the relevant secretariat monthly regarding progress with their case. Furthermore, the decision by a member to step aside will be reviewed by the relevant structure of the organization every 6 months. The NEC will discuss the list over the weekend and will pronounce itself on the implementation of the decision. Well, at the same time, the ANC Interim Provincial Committee says that even if former Northwest ANC Chairperson Supra Mahumapeelu and Acting Secretary for Women's League Bizale Nkopane have lodged appeals against their 5-year suspension from the party, their membership remains suspended. This as they are also facing other unrelated charges of misconduct. All right, for more on today's developments in the ANC, we're joined by Professor Barry Henyane. A very good afternoon to you, Prof. Thank you so very much for joining us here on SABC News this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Flo. Good afternoon to your viewers.
Prof, the step-aside resolution has obviously been causing quite a bit of drama within the ANC. I see now that the ANC KZN Chair, Mike Mabuyakhulu, has announced that he will in fact step aside. Is this the beginning of, turning the tide, if I can put it that way, where perhaps others might take the opportunity or then decide to perhaps do the same and follow suit?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Flo. I think this should have been done a long time ago. Sadly, it's a party that was willing to shift the goalposts to accommodate perhaps those who are in power, who have influence and are occupying some seat of authority. But as I said, I think it's long overdue. It will be interesting to see the publication of these lists to determine who exactly are affected by this, and to then begin to measure their sense of willingness to step aside in the name of allowing the party to continue as it were.
Yeah. Are there certain, contradictions perhaps within the ANC's own constitution, as was sort of highlighted or hinted upon by Supra Mahumapeelu, in that on one side they say whilst appealing you remain a suspended member of the ANC, but then of course that the Secretary-General Ace Magashule said in a letter that Supra Mahumapeelu, his membership, and I quote him, is still intact. I doubt that the Secretary-General would get the rules of the party or the constitution of the party that he's really at the top 6 of so wrong. So are there some inaccuracies or contradictions or something of the sort within the constitution of the ANC itself that's causing what we're seeing?
No. The constitution is quite clear. In my view, at least, it doesn't require a constitutional expert to really interpret what the Constitution suggests.
Yeah.
The problem that we have here, have a provincial DC taking a stance over a particular matter, and then in the end pronounce is then challenged through an appeal. Certainly, even if it's through an appeal, that sanction should stand. And the second contradiction that I suspect does create somewhat of a confusion is the whole issue of implementing the step-aside rule itself. That, in this instance, the former Premier of the Northwest sort of like accepted the responsibility to step aside, even though having appealed, I think would have averted the involvement of the SG, and the SG being accused of undermining the relevant sections of the Constitution that then allows for the smooth running process of sanctions and appeals to be managed in a flowing, seamless kind of way.
Yeah. The implementation of this resolution, I mean, is it set to make things better or worse within the ANC? No doubt. I mean, it's not even really debatable anymore. Really, it's become something that's quite clear to all of us that there are, you know, factions and there are different sides within the body of the ANC. And I just wonder, you know, the step-aside resolution. I mean, what is it there for? Really, is it there for you know, to rid itself of whoever it chooses to rid itself of who they want to get rid of, as some have kind of hinted at? I mean, is it there to make things better or worse? I mean, what is the point now? If someone steps aside, and then what?
Well, look, you got to look at it from the principle of fitness of purpose, right? Pre-Nasrec 2017, there was a talk of the ANC being corrupt, talk of the ANC being infiltrated by certain forces, the moral compass within the party being lost for some reason. And then, of course, high-profile members of the party being accused of all sorts of wrongdoings. And so you would then notice the emergence of the Ramaphosa camp wanting to claim the so-called the soul of the party, complemented by the position of the veterans and other structures that saw it fit to actually drum the message across that perhaps the ANC is staying away from its course, the course that was set by its fathers, Rolihlahla Mandela and others. And for the party meant that they have no choice but to get rid of those who brought the party into disrepute, malfeasance, maladministration, and corruption of any kind. So what does this mean? It means the current ANC should be willing to take the bullet. There will be casualties. It will bring chaos into the party. Some might find themselves on the fringes of the party and not necessarily in the middle or in the core of the party. It's necessary. The ANC must find itself, if, of course, it is interested in rebuilding its image, recapturing the confidence of its voters and non-voters as well, but also projecting an image of a party that is able to cleanse itself of all the wrongdoings. It will not be an easy path. It will be a path that will be riddled with a lot of infighting, a lot of people, as is expected, stepping aside, disgruntlement, a lot of shaped up, if you want to call it that way. And that's the pain that if the ANC is serious, it must take to heart.
All right, Prof, thank you very much for weighing in on this. Much appreciated. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, that is Professor Barry Henyane, their political analyst, weighing in, of course, on the news that we just got, of course, in the last hour, that the ANC KZN Chair, Mabuyakhulu, has in fact announced that he will step aside.